Welcome to another episode of It Had to Be Said podcast, where we say out loud what you think in private. No topic is off limits. And in today's podcast, I'm going to go back and I have to touch back on this subject. I know I've talked about it before. Parenting. Not everyone should be having kids. That's my personal perspective. And I always say, women choose who they lay down with, men choose who they marry. And in this particular podcast, I'm going to put some onus on the men. Now, like every other situation or every other gender or race or whatever, there are going to be some good men, there are going to be some bad men, there are going to be some stupid men, there are going to be some men who just want to put their sausage in whatever holes available. And I think that one of the things you really have to think about when you decide to sleep with a woman is, what if I get her pregnant, and she becomes the mother of my child? Is she going to be a good mother? And these videos that are popping up on social media for the first day of school, and I'm going to add the link to one of these videos here. And this is just an example of just one of them, where the mother is taking a picture, like doing a video recording of her daughter, and her daughter drops the F-bomb. They're not wearing the seatbelt in the car. They're listening to gangster music. And when people on social media started leaving comments saying, you shouldn't be posting stuff like that with your child, saying profanity and different stuff like that online, the mother goes back and basically is like, oh, my kids, they don't want to wear the seatbelt. And if they listen to gangster music, they can, they want to be gangster, whatever the case may be. I mean, just the most craziest, ratchetest thing that, I've ever heard, when it comes down to kids. And a commentator basically said something that I've always said, or I've said previously on my podcast. That parent is not setting those kids up for success, and it's two girls. It's two little girls. So, and the mother, I mean, like she has a BBL and she's out on like spring break or vacation, whatever. And she stops in the middle of the street and twerking and dancing and showing off her butt. And where's the father? Like, if it, and more than likely, and I'm not saying this is exactly what it is, but more than likely she got with a type of dude that's not going to be a father, a type of dude that doesn't care about, his kids, doesn't, care about himself or whatever the case may be, because, there are certain things that if a father was involved and he was an actual father, she wouldn't dare post online, that would have been evidence for him to take the child from her if they were separated, or if they were married. That would have been certain things that he would have not allowed. And the thing about it is, they look like they live in a very decent suburban area. Houses lined up around the streets, nice suburban area. But this is what I talk about when I say, you can take somebody out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the person. Like, you take, if you live in such a nice suburban type area, the school, and the girls are wearing uniform. They're not just wearing regular clothes. They're wearing uniform. These look like 8, 10-year-old girls. So they're wearing uniform. So they seem like they go to a pretty nice school. And this is the type of foolishness you're teaching at your home. And then you expect those kids to go to school and respect the teachers, learn something, and become something. That's going to be extremely difficult. Like, these girls are not being set up for success. They're being set up to fail, even though all of the tools are there in their environment. But the home environment is so toxic and so messed up that these little girls have hardly any chance at all to succeed in life. And that's the sad thing about it, And this is why I say, not everyone, not everyone deserves to be a parent. Not everyone, you sleep with, let's put it this.
Still waiting in line? Again? That's time you'll never get back. Save time and money with Stamps.com. Over 4 million businesses have skipped the line with Stamps.com. Join them to save up to 90% off carrier rates from your computer or phone right now. Print postage for certified mail, registered mail, and packages in seconds. Then schedule a pickup right from your home or office. For a limited time, go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST for a free welcome gift. Taxes and fees apply.
I'm sorry. It's just, you got to be careful who you sleep with, because sometimes the mistake could happen where you can get the wrong person pregnant. And that can mess up your entire lives. I don't know where the father is. I know where the mother is. And I know her response. I know what she put on there. I know what she allowed her kids to say. And I know the type of music she allowed her kids to listen to. And I think I said this in one of my podcasts, maybe the first 5 podcasts that I had, probably between episode number 1 and 5, where I met, and in the video, you can hear the mother say, well, when my kids inside the car going to school, I'm gonna let them listen to Pooh Shiesty, but I'm not gonna, you know, have them listen to no Beethoven and fall asleep. And I remember in my podcast, when I talked about my kids with raising them up, I put on classical music. They used to call it sleepy music because when I'm in the car with my kids, you know, I'm playing classical music, and I'm a big fan of hip hop. You know, but I'm not going to play that type of music around my kids when they're 9, 8, 10 years old. I don't want them hearing the type of language that that these people are saying. I don't want my daughter thinking that, she's supposed to be ratchet hood and doing all this other stuff. And I don't want my son thinking like this is how he's supposed to treat women. So yes, I did play Beethoven and other classical music, and my kids call it sleepy music, and that's exactly what they did. They were very quiet in the car, and in most cases, they fell asleep. You know, it's crazy. It's just really crazy, and it's getting out of hand. On social media, especially on I only have I have an Instagram and I have a YouTube page for the podcast. I haven't done anything with Facebook yet, but I'm looking at launching a Facebook page for the podcast as well. Um, I'm following on Instagram a young lady. Let me see if I can get her name here. Her name is Hack or Whack. Um, Hack or Whack uh, with DN Kate. I don't. It's pretty long, but it's Hack or Whack with DN Kate. And if you guys, I'll put the link in the description as well. And I follow very few people. I follow a lot of police body camera video, uh, social media pages, courthouse cases, because I like to talk about things that are actually happening in the community because you can see what's going on based when you look at, police body view cameras, and you can look at the court systems and cases that are happening in the court. But this young lady, the reason why I'm following her is because she's have a bunch of new episodes that are being posted on there, and she's been doing this for a while too. And she's looking at little girl clothes, not just like 10-year-old, 8-year-olds, but she's looking like infants, 1-year-old, 2-year-old clothes. And she's comparing the boys' shorts to the girls' shorts, right? And the bathing suits and everything. And this is something that I didn't realize that I was paying attention to this, but she does it in a much more advanced way. So she has what they call there's what they call the inseam when you look at the pants, right? And she looks at these little girl clothes that they sell at the stores, and it's like a 2 to 3 finger inseam, and I'm a grown man, like 2-finger inseam, meaning like the inseam between, like if you spread the pants wide open, the inseam you can fit 2 fingers on, and then that's it. 2 fingers can cover the entire inseam for the girl clothes. And then if you for the boys, it's kind of like you got to put like a whole two hands or 1.5 hand, because the boy pants are much longer. They're not cut so short. And I've always said this: when you're a parent, you buy the clothes that your kids wear. So from the time they're an infant, young adults, to teenagers, most of the time we as parents, we're buying the clothes and we're picking out the clothes for our kids. And even if there's a brand that's selling these short shorts for the girls to wear, you might think it's cute when she's, 2, 3 years old, but then when she becomes 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, now it's no longer cute. Now it's kind of like you forgot as a parent, that there are guys out there, sickos, who are attracted to little kids. And these pedos, when you put on certain things on them, on your kid, you're basically sexualizing your kid, And there are guys out there, like if your child hits puberty, your daughter hits puberty and she's 14, 15 years old and she hits puberty and she has the body of a grown woman, and then somebody else is going to start looking and she's wearing these clothes to make her look like she's grown. And then you have grown men sexualizing your child, and your child, sometimes some kids, they know what the heck they're doing. I'll be honest with you, depending on the household, like these 2 young ladies, they're growing up in a certain household. By the time they're a certain age, they're probably going to know more than some adult women know. But there are some kids who grow up in innocent households and they don't really know better. And the parents allow them to wear certain things because the parents are looking at them like, oh, that's so cute. And you're a little girl, whatever. And before they know it, some, senior or some older guy, adult guy has come in and manipulated her and taken advantage of her. Like I do consultation here, right? I have a book called Better Thinking Habits, the introduction edition, and I do some consultation in private, for some of my clients. Some of them are older, some of them are younger, some of them have kids. And I have this young lady, I mean, one of my clients who's taking one of my classes, he brought in, I know his mother and he brought in his sister, and his sister's like, what, she just turned 15 and she's going to be 16 like next month or whatever the case may be. And it's like her first, it's her first week in high school, and innocent little girl, like they go to church. I mean, not exposed to a lot of things. And she's sitting there and she's like, I don't even like the school anymore. And I don't want to go to PE, and I don't want this and I don't want that. And we're like, and her mom is sitting there like, yeah. And her mom was like, explain to them what happened. And she's like, yeah, these boys, they just keep trying to hit on me, talking about they want my number. They trying to get hugs from me and whatever the case may be. She felt so uncomfortable, right? And it's one of those situations where, like the parents, they raised her in such an enclosed environment. And then when she got out there into like, into high school, I had to explain to her like, look, mom, this you know how it is in high school. You're a ninth grader. They look at you, they call you fresh meat. That's why when they call you a freshman, they look at it as fresh meat. And I had to explain to all these seniors, 11th graders, 10th graders, 12th graders, they're going to try to talk to you because they're going to know that you don't know any better. You're coming from middle school. You don't understand the concept of, what's going on right now. Like a lot of these boys, they're in heat. And so they're trying to take advantage of you before the knowledge kicks in, and she's just in there like, but that's just weird. We're in school. We're in high school. Like, what are these guys thinking? Like, why is everybody so like everybody's chasing skirts and chasing girls, and, she wasn't prepared for that. Like I say, sometimes you gotta prepare your kids for certain things. You gotta prepare your kids for certain things mentally, but at the same time, you don't want to some kids are just being like overstimulated or over sexualized as far as these young women. And I think that's something that's a damn shame. And, these two little girls that I was talking about with their mother, it's not just them, but there are tons of videos online with parents just, doing things and allowing their kids to act super grown. And in some cases, they're actually sexualizing their kids. Like these girls, there's videos where girls have like full wigs on, like, full latex wigs on. They got their nails done. It's just so crazy. It's like we're not allowing these young ladies to be kids. And, we're overstimulating them, over-sexualizing them, and we're allowing them to talk like they're adults and they don't understand the consequences of that, because your kid that you're allowing to drop the F-bomb and use all kind of profanity in front of you and you're laughing, that's not tolerated in the schools. And when your kid go to school and act like that, they disrespect you at home, how do you expect them to act with the teachers? And then you want to get mad at the school system and thinking that the schools are horrible when you're just bringing these little demons into the schools and disrupting the learning of other people. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think we need to do better as a society. I think men need to get more involved and explain to the next generation of men, these young men, you cannot just be sleeping around with a woman because she's easy. You cannot just be, doing things with these women that could be horrible parents, because they're just adding, more dysfunction to the next generation of people. And if you are going to mess around with some of these women, these strippers, these thoughts, these women that are unfit to be mothers, strap up and make sure, pray to God you don't get these women pregnant. You know what I mean? Because it's just ridiculous. It's so sad, seeing what I saw with these two little girls. Yeah, but that's basically it for now with this podcast. Like I said, my name is Ali Telford. I post new podcasts every Tuesday and Thursday. For the last 2 Thursdays, I've been a little bit busy here at the office because it's back to school season. We've had a lot of people coming in to get loans, and a lot of business has been happening here. So I did miss the last 2 Thursdays. But I will make up for that. And going forward, we will be back to posting constantly every Monday, every Tuesday and Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.